Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, the President hits back at Senator Antonio Trillanes.
What is the lesson learned? Bakit tinarget ko siya? Do not do unto others what you would not want them to do to you.
Standing firm on his decision to nullify the senator's amnesty.
Pag sinabi ng Sultan may mali and this has to be corrected, I cannot refuse.
The chief executive also warns of an October ouster plot.
Guni-guni niya yan sa kanyang utak kasi paranoid na siya.
And as the inflation rate continues to spike, some lawmakers want the economic managers to resign. Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Sal Panelo joins us live. And a homecoming queen ditches her crown for a helmet and kicks her team to a win. That's for today's In Focus. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. The Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff sets the record straight, saying soldiers should refrain from engaging in partisan politics because their loyalty is to the Constitution. This amid the nullification of the amnesty of Senator Antonio Trillanes. On Saturday, the President insists he has the power to void the senator's amnesty, but vows that he will allow the courts to decide. Trillanes, on the other hand, is not backing down and says there's still a standing order to arrest him without a warrant. Let's go straight to the source of the story. Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Sal Panelo. Attorney, thank you for being here and welcome again to the show. The President is saying that it's really the Solicitor General who did the research on this voiding of the amnesty of Senator Antonio Trillanes. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I agree with the findings. I even will go beyond it.
No, but not the findings first, that it was the Solgen that conducted the research on this. That's what I was asking you. What are your thoughts
but that is his
on
work.
that?
As lawyer of the government, he has to see to it that there are irregularities, and if there are, then he has to do something about it.
But who gave the order for the Solgen to do the research?
I remember 2 years ago, I was confronted by the Malacanang Press Corps and asked me on the amnesty because there were some quarters, media, columnists, they were saying that something was wrong with the grant of amnesty. And I said 2 years ago, then let's review it. It's about time to review it. Apparently they did.
Why did you not review it if you seem to remember 2 years ago that there were questions on the amnesty?
It's not my job.
So the Solgen, that's the Solgen's job, you said, to look into regularities or irregularities.
Yes.
So, but I guess the question to follow up to that is that could there be some sort of conflict of interest between the Solicitor General and Senator Antonio Trillanes because the senator is exposing alleged corrupt practices by the Solgen?
No, I don't think there is any conflict of interest. The Solgen has the duty to do that, and he's just performing his job.
But again, the senator is exposing his security firm, the Vigilant.
Because if you will adopt that kind of argument, then all these people have to do is to file cases against the Solgen so that they cannot investigate anymore.
Yeah, but still, is there conflict of interest or no? None. You were saying. All right. You weren't part of the review team,
no,
attorney. So who formed part of this review team?
You should ask Solgen Kalida.
You don't know?
No.
Did the President ever ask you about this? Did he seek any advice from you regarding
We talked about
this?
it after I read the proclamation. I made my opinion. I said, I agree with the findings, and I will even go beyond it.
Okay.
I said, even assuming that there is a valid grant of amnesty, still can be revoked by the President.
So when you look at the amnesty, attorney, in the beginning, in the title, it says revocation. But when you look at the fine print, nandun na nga yung parang null and void. So, you know, you have Malacanang, we spoke to you, we spoke to Secretary Guevara, and also Secretary Harry Roque, and they're all saying it's not a revocation, but it is
It's a declaration of nullity.
Yeah, because again, very simply, it was not there to begin with.
Yes.
Okay. Sir, the question is, who's supposed to decide if it was there to begin with or not? Kanino po yung burden of proof?
Which one? Two?
About the amnesty. Because there are two reasons why the amnesty is said to be null and void, sir. Number one is he did not apply for it, and he did not admit guilt. Kanino ho ba yung burden of proof to prove this?
Kasi ganito yun. That is a mandatory requirement. Now, he's waiving a document saying that he applied. But the AFP is saying they have no record of that. You know what I did? I zoomed the document, and I didn't see any stamp received by any office. That's one. And so I was thinking, no, they filed a case in the Supreme Court. I was hoping that they would attach the duplicate original. Because if you really applied, you must have a copy of that. That's a very important document. But I was informed that what was attached was just an application form. So why? In other words, they don't have the original, a duplicate copy.
And they need to produce the original.
Of course, I'm sure the Supreme Court will be asking, where's the, don't you have a copy of that?
Yeah, but isn't the original supposed to be submitted to the ad hoc committee?
Yeah,
sir?
but you should have a duplicate original.
Duplicate original.
Remember the Sereno case? Yes. The certification was also to the same effect, that there is none, as far as we're concerned. And so the burden of proof shifted to Justice Sereno to produce the SALN. She was never able to produce it. That's why she was ousted. It's the same case.
Yeah.
Where is your application? Because as far as the AAP is concerned, there is none.
Could you help us understand the situation, Attorney Sal? Because some are saying that if you apply for a passport, at least they're saying, Congressman Gary Alejano is saying that if you apply for a passport and then binigyan ka na po ng passport and then you go to the immigration, you go to the airport, you present your passport, they will never ask you nasan yung certificate, nasan na yung document mo to apply for a passport.
That's a different...
It is like, that is how they liken this.
There is no base for comparison. This is an application for amnesty. The proclamation itself says you need to do that. There is a mandatory requirement. If you're not complying with that, then you have no basis to be granted amnesty.
But he was granted amnesty. He had a certification.
By whom?
Diba?
By whom?
He had a certification.
By whom?
And also
By
Congressman Alejano.
By whom? If you look at the documents, it says there is a letter by the ad hoc committee addressed to former Secretary Voltaire Gasmin, that they are recommending the approval of these applicants because there was no opposition. And in the same letter, Gasmin signed it with the last paragraph. No, Gasmin signed it approved. And then he wrote a letter to former President Aquino. And he said that he approved and granted amnesty to the list of applicants submitted to him.
This is what you're saying, Attorney Sal. Hence, on 2021 and 24 January 2011, respectively, I have approved the recommendation of the DND ad hoc Amnesty Committee and thereby granted amnesty to aforesaid officers and enlisted personnel through Committee Resolution number 1, 2, 3, and 4, duly signed.
And then below that, it says, for your information.
No, it says for His Excellency's information.
Exactly.
Yeah. So to you, there is something wrong with this?
Of course, because he's the one who granted the amnesty, not the president.
He granted the amnesty on that. But the proclamation of President Aquino, Section 2, also says, let's put that up on the screen, where to apply. The concerned AFP and PNP personnel and their supporters may apply for amnesty under this proclamation with the ad hoc committee's Department of National Defense, which he chairs, Secretary Gasmin,
yes,
which he is the secretary, which is hereby, sir, tasked with receiving, processing applications, including oppositions thereto, if any, for amnesty pursuant to this proclamation, and determining whether the applicants are entitled to amnesty pursuant to this proclamation.
Exactly. Receiving and processing, that is their job. To receive it and to process and to determine whether or not they are.
The applicants are entitled to amnesty.
Yes.
Yes.
And subsequent thereto, they made a recommendation to the Secretary of the National Defense, which he approved. And then he wrote the president saying that I approve
For His Excellency's information.
and I hereby granted the amnesty. So it was not the president who was granting the amnesty.
Is that what you call usurpation of authority?
Yes.
Dito po tayo papasok sa usurpation of authority. We'll be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Coming up, we're going to talk about the usurpation of authority, allegedly, of Secretary Guzmin. Also, inflation rate hits an all-time high. And will the president heed the call of firing his economic managers? Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Sal Panelo will still be with us after the break. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Sal Panelo. Attorney Sal, balikan po natin yun. So
Yeah.
you're saying that this is a possible case of usurpation of authority?
Yes, but because the power to grant amnesty as well as pardon is exclusive to the president. There is a ruling by the Supreme Court. You cannot delegate that to anyone.
Okay, but it also says in that proclamation of Pinoy, that's Section 2, just the last paragraph, sir, the final decisions or determination of the DND shall be appealable to the office of the President. So if I were to understand this, the final decision or determination of the DND, so sila po ang nag-final decision, sila ang nag-determine. If there is a problem, it shall be appealable to the office of the President by any party to the application. So that means
Read the subsequent statement.
the decision, however, shall be immediately
You see?
executory.
It's executory.
If appealed. Opo.
Executory.
No,
And who will appeal? Only the applicants. How should they appeal? They have been granted. The recommendation is yes.
yeah.
Oh.
But Attorney
So the-
Sal, what I'm saying is that Section 2 of the Proclamation of Pinoy from this paragraph gives authority to the DND.
To receive and to process
Yes,
only.
and to determine whether the
Yes.
applicants are entitled.
Yes.
And the final decision
Yes.
or determination of the DND.
Exactly.
So ano ho ba ibig
To
sabihin ng
grant.
final decision or determination
It's
of
the
the DND?
president that will have to grant the amnesty. That's for them to evaluate whether. That's precisely why they wrote recommending the grant of amnesty to Secretary Voltaire, and he responded by saying that approve. And I have granted the amnesty per his letter to the president.
In that,
Aquino.
should a case then be filed against the former secretary, Secretary Guzmin, sir?
I think so, but that's Soldian's call.
That will be, again, up to the Solicitor General. So the process by which Senator Trillanes and the others applied for this, sir, di ba nakita naman po natin, it was almost, there were 50-something who applied. Pare-pareho ba silang
I think
nag-apply?
200.
Okay.
200.
Pare-pareho ba silang? The process of application was the same, sir?
Ay, hindi ko alam yun. I have no personal knowledge. I cannot comment on that.
Okay. But why, I guess the question still remains, why is it that it was just Senator Trillanes na vinoid po yung amnesty? That needs to be answered, sir.
Eh, kasi yun ang napag-aralan na sila. But eventually, siyempre, titingnan mo rin yung iba.
Bakit hindi kaya a number of them? Just a question, sir, ang pinag-aralan, hindi lang si Senator Trillanes ang pinag-aralan.
As I said, nobody was questioning the grant of amnesty to other soldiers. 2 years ago, that was the issue. That there was something wrong with the grant of amnesty to Trillanes. That's why I said, let's review it then.
So, kaya sumentro na lang sa kanya? Is that...
kasi yun ang reklamo yun ang mga nagsasabing may diferensya yung kanyang amnesty.
Attorney Sal, if you were asked about this 2 years ago, why did this just happen 2 years after? Did it take that long to study this?
I don't know. You have to ask those who investigated that. Mine was a suggestion to review.
Aha. So, yung pong sinasabing alias warrant of arrest, I remember, sir, nag-usap po tayo. You were in Israel that
Yes.
time. It was good you were able to take our call. And I asked you, there was an omnibus motion or urgent omnibus motion filed before a judge, and then the judge set the hearing to September
Yes.
13, gave Senator Trillanes 5 days to comment. And then I asked you, sir, sabi ko, Attorney Sal, ano ho ang inyong reaction dito? You said, we will respect the court's decision.
Yeah.
And then I
That's
asked,
precisely why we filed that case. Otherwise, if you don't believe in the courts, why should you be filing a case?
and then I asked you again, sir, I said, will government plan to file maybe another motion before another court? And your answer was on the negative.
Yeah, because my understanding was you're referring to the same case. But there are two cases. So the motion in the other case is different from the case that you were discussing with me.
Let's listen to that interview. Let's go back to that.
Alam po ninyo, ang Malacanang palaging sumusunod sa pamamaraan ng batas. So kung ano ang sinabi ng hukuman na may hawak ng kaso, susundin natin.
And there are no plans to possibly file another omnibus motion, sir?
Hindi na okay lang kasi meron nga hukuman na may hawak ng kaso.
My
We're referring to the same case.
No, I said file another omnibus, sir. I did not
Oh.
say same case or a different case.
Oh, but since we're discussing that particular case, then you must be referring to only
no, but
that case.
there were two. Hindi
As I
alam
said, that
naman-
was my understanding.
At that time.
That was my response.
So was it right to file another motion before another
Yes,
judge?
because that's another case. You cannot be letting the court wait for the action on the other court. You have to file a motion in another case relative to that particular case pending in that court.
Yeah. So I guess I would have expected you to say, dalawa naman yung kaso dyan, Pinky.
Oh, yeah.
So dapat pwede pa kaming mag-file ng isa pang kaso.
Hindi na, because my understanding, you were just asking with respect to the same case.
Okay, ngayon, sabihin po natin, Attorney Sal, that the second judge will...
Meron ng final doon sa kabila.
Yes, sir. I'm saying that if the second judge, Judge Almeida, sir, also does not issue an arrest warrant soon. Okay. Meron pa ho bang plano ang gobyerno to find a way, let's be clear about this, to find a way to be able to have another judge on a same case or another case file a case so that an arrest warrant could be issued? Is that a
With
possibility,
respect
sir?
to other cases against Trillanes, hindi ko na alam yun kung may papile ng panibagong kaso. But with respect to the present cases na pending at mayroon na sa Supreme Court, hayaan natin ang Korte Suprema.
So it's really waiting already for the Supreme Court to look into this, sir?
Ay, nandiyan ang Supreme Court.
Because paano yung court-martial? What are your thoughts on that, sir?
Court-martial, hindi ba sinabi ng Presidente, prefer civilian courts?
Yeah. And it will be held in abeyance until the court shall
Yeah.
decide on this. Sir, so so yung ano ho ba yung tawag doon? Is it called forum shopping kapag nagpa-file ka
forum
na?
shopping, kung pupunta ka naman sa ibang court, porket wala kang
Nakuha.
kuha na gusto mo. Kung forum shopping, illegal yun.
Legal?
Against yun.
Yes.
Against the rules.
Okay, was this forum shopping? Can it be categorized
No,
as
it cannot
forum
be
shopping?
because there are two pending cases eh. Iba naman yung kaso doon, mutiny, yung isa naman kudita.
Okay, all right. Sir, balikan ko lang si Court Martial AFP, just to be clear, for you as Chief Presidential Legal Counsel, can or can they not arrest Senator Antonio Trillanes, sir?
I think you should ask them that. Because as far as we're concerned, there is already a pending case in the Supreme Court and we have to wait for that. But I don't think they're doing anything about that.
Yeah.
Are they?
Hindi.
I don't think
Wala
so.
pa naman
Exactly.
ngayon. In
Because
fact-
precisely, the President has already said, I prefer civilian courts to rule on this.
Yeah, but let's put that also on air so people can see that. General Carlito Galvez there saying, I have, as the appointing authority, commissioned the General Court Martial that shall continue hearing the case of the erstwhile Navy Lieutenant Trillanes IV. However, with the recent pronouncement of the Chief Executive, GCM proceedings will be held in abeyance until the SC has ruled.
Yes.
So, malinaw ho,
Yeah.
Attorney Sal, that
Very
wala
clear.
po silang
Yep.
gagawin.
Yes.
But there's also a plan by Undersecretary Jing Paras naman, sir, to file inciting to sedition case against...
That's a different case.
Trillanes.
That's for him to, that's personal to him. If he wants to file, it's a free country.
May laman ho kaya yun
I don't
para
know.
sa inyo?
I haven't seen the complaint.
How about destabilization plots?
I don't know anything about it. But what I know is that you grant an amnesty to Mr. Trillanes, and you would expect that the man, after, according to him, admitting guilt, would be fulfilling his obligations as a good citizen. But he never did that. Second, I don't think he had a bona fide intention of applying, because subsequent to the grant of amnesty, he went on air. He said, I violated the rules, but I do not admit to the crime of coup d'etat. Is that the bona fide intention of applying? You're swindling the government. You made the government believe that you are admitting guilt, but you did not. And in fact, subsequent acts show that he has been planting seeds of hate against the president, planting seeds of hate against this government. He is even inciting people to rebel against this government and the president. I mean, the state has the inherent duty and right to protect itself from any attacks inimical to its interests against coming from any other source.
Now, you know, Attorney Sal, some critics are saying that this is really just a way for the government to diffuse what is happening on the ground, the prices of basic goods going up, inflation also at an all-time high. Attorney Sal.
I don't think so. The President has already explained in his arrival statement that there is a confluence of events. The increase in oil, and then the trade war initiated by President Truman, nagkasabay-sabay.
Trump.
Or rather, Trump.
Okay, so wala ho itong kinalaman na
Wala.
kino-cover up po yung pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilihin.
Dito sa Pilipinas, makakover up ka ba?
Thank you
With
so
media
much.
like you.
All right, thank you, Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Sal Panelo. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Still to come, find out why a homecoming queen traded her crown for a game. That's for today's In Focus.